answer this question. Is mental health is important? Mental health is very, very, very important because of the following reason. One is your physical health. So mental health is connected to your physical health. Here is the train of thought. Can you remember a point in your life whereby you were stressed about something? Maybe say about money. Maybe you lost money or you don't have money. Do you know that there is a way your body responds to it? You can actually almost start feeling like you're sick, you're not well. This is because the thought of money is cognitive. The thought of money, the fact that you're lacking that aspect, it can actually have an implication in your physical body. All right. The other aspect is, for example, if you go to the hospital and maybe do a medical checkup and they notice that maybe you have typhoid or maybe you have tuberculosis, that is TB. Now, with physical health is that you can be given medication, but even after taking that medication, if you don't get assistance to help you accept this new reality that maybe you have TB or maybe you have HIV or maybe any other disease, if you don't get the mental guidance to help you go through, you might not actually recover. Even if there is zero disease in your blood, as long as your mental health is down, you are likely to be getting the same symptoms of any disease that is in your body, right? I actually have an example. I remember at some point I had a friend. My friend was unwell. So she told me, oh, I think we should go to the hospital. I told her, okay. So we went to the hospital. We did all the checkups. There was nothing in her body. She was very fit. So the doctor was like, girl, young girl, you're very okay. You're very healthy. But she was like, no, doctor, I still feel headache. I feel body weakness. And then the doctor asked her, are you stressed about anything? That was exactly the point that we wanted. And indeed, she was stressed about something. So maybe you're listening to this podcast and you're outside there and you feel so discouraged about life. This feeling alone is enough to even make you weak, is enough to make you very, very sensitive. That means you can actually develop anger issues even if you never had anger issues, simply because your mental health has been tampered with. You're stressed about something, you're depressed about something, or maybe you have experienced rejection. The most common example is, for example, if you go through breakup. Yes, if you end a relationship that you really treasured so much, you're not sick, but you might even start feeling headache. You might get stomach ache. You might start feeling your temperature might be going high. Well, you're not sick, but because this is something that is connected with your emotions and your mental state, it affects you directly. All right. So whenever we buy medicine for people, it's not enough. The mental aspect of life is there, and that means we need to be very intentional about being there for our loved ones. Okay, so mental health is very important. It is as important as physical health. Another significant aspect as to why mental health is very important is because our social connections, that is your friends, your relationships, your family. Now, according to current statistics, this generation, the times that we live in, has the highest rates of child neglect, highest rates of sexual assaults and abuse, has the highest rates of disorganized sexual orientations, has the highest rate of divorce in families. It just has the highest rate of crimes. It has, currently as we speak, so many countries are actually in conflict. Talk about in Africa alone, or even in the diaspora. So many countries are in conflict. So the question is, what has changed? A lot has changed. We currently live in a time whereby there is almost everything. There is almost everything that can actually make you angry, that can disorient you, or even make you a bit unhappy about society. So in most cases, for example, in a family setting, if the parents have conflict or if they have a misunderstanding, the kids do not need to be part of it to affect them. They will be automatically affected. You see? Another aspect, for example, in a whole community, if for example there is loss or there is grief, it will automatically affect everyone. And I think grief and loss is a topic that is very close to my heart, and that's why I had to write a book on it, because of how it can affect people. It can affect individuals, it can affect families, it can affect communities, it can even affect nations, as a matter of fact. Because here at Made to Lead podcast, we're looking at building you, ensuring that you grow as a person, but we also don't forget the aspect of nation building, because these same things affect nations. All right. So with mental health, it is very important, because if you're not mentally stable, you will not have proper relationships. You will not have sound relationships. Even in the family, you will have a lot of issues. That's why if you get time. Actually, I would advise, if you ever get the time to visit prisons, you will absolutely confirm what I'm telling you. There are many people that should not be in prisons if only they got the mental assistance that they needed. Because depression is enough to lead you to actually commit a crime, even towards another person. Depression is enough to make you take hot water and you pour on another person. This is how significant mental health is. It is so dangerous to an extent whereby you can actually create crimes in society, not because you're a bad person, but simply because you came to a place whereby you are helpless, your mind is blowing, you need mental health assistance. All right? So we should stop viewing people. Actually, as a matter of fact, when somebody commits a crime, don't see them like the criminal. You should separate the crime from the person, and then you will understand some aspects. So mental health is very important. When we are at home, if you know you exist as a family, check on each family member. Create some time for stories, create some time for bonding. There are some challenges that some family members are going through. You actually don't know because you don't speak. The next time you create an environment to share with your family members, that will be the time when you will notice that there are some silent battles that people go through every day, and some of them don't even have the courage to share with you. All right. So, what are these silent battles? These are the same things that can make someone to reject a child, kill another person, leave the house and just go, or even opt for a separation or a divorce. So in most cases, these are the things that happen in our societies, and we tend to ignore it. So we live in a society whereby we see the symptoms of mental health every day. We see the symptoms. Somebody wants to commit suicide. We see somebody rejected a child. We see somebody was taken to prison because they committed a crime. You go to the hospital nowadays, the rates of gender-based violence is very high. That is men attacking women, women attacking men, the same thing. So all these things are high, but the question is, what's going on with society? What is happening? And the answer is, people are not mentally stable. Economic crisis. It is difficult for some families to even have a single meal a day. Don't you think that's frustrating? It is frustrating. It will definitely temper with their mental health. Yeah? Talk about the unknown gunmen that are killing people every day. Why are they killing people? It is simply because there is some financial frustration that they got in their lives, and the best way they feel is right for them is to go ahead and rob people. But imagine if that armed robber or that potential armed robber had gotten assistance or even some mental health counseling. I tell you, they would not have gone out with a gun to kill another person. They would have been exposed to other alternatives of solving this issue or solving this problem. So when it comes to mental health, it's every aspect of our life. It's the air we breathe, it's the things we say, it's the scenarios we see every day, it's even the things or the narratives we sell online. To make matters worse, much as we know that we're in a digital era, some people are inciting violence every day through social media. A simple Facebook post can make one community to actually mobilize and attack another community. A simple video that you make insulting someone can actually make them opt of ending their life. What are we saying? As you continue to exist online, can you please be kind? Can you please be kind? Even before giving somebody a comment, maybe you see a picture, you don't like them. Just don't comment and go. Don't be so unkind to give someone very mean words. In fact, if you know that you're somebody who gives people mean comments online, it's a sign that there is something broken inside of you. Yes, you're broken. You're very, very much broken. And if we really check you so well, you're not even mentally stable. All right. So we need to turn up. We need to be very responsible people. Yesterday, I was reading an article on a famous newspaper, and one of the things they say that in the future, they want to introduce mental health assessment test for all politicians. That is the president, member of parliament, senators, and everyone. Now, I feel to me it's very important, by the way, because if you look at the dynamics of war before a war breaks in any country, it's not the whole country that started the war. It can only be two people who could not understand each other. Conflict. It could be conflict of interest. It could be one who has anger issues and cannot manage their emotions. And then probably the other one is also the same thing. So whenever we look at nations and nation building, if we look at Africa in particular, we need sound leaders. We need leaders who are mentally stable. We need leaders who will not body shame people. We need leaders who will not bash communities online. We need leaders who will not incite violence. Because here's a train of thought. If you and I are to think about it, what do you think makes a leader from community A tell people in community A that people in community B are not good people and they should actually go get guns, go and fight the other community? Simple. It's mental health. Some people are in power, but they're actually sick mentally. All right. So that means it's actually time for us to even change our systems of leadership. A war of 10 years can be started by 2 people who would have resolved it if only they went for therapy. This is how deep mental health is. Yes, it's about every aspect of our life. So I hope by the end of this video, you actually notice and learn. If there is one thing you should pick from everything I have said, is recognizing the fact that mental health is a need and not a want, and that mental health is very important, because in families cannot thrive, families will not be built well if people are not in their right mental health of state. And if you know you're outside there, if you know you're expressing stress, if you know you're expressing depression, I know mostly you might try to think, oh, I can manage it. Try on your end. If you cannot manage it, do not be ashamed to look for professional help. Do not be ashamed to look for counselors. Do not be ashamed to look for psychologists who can sit down with you, yeah, and then maybe hear you out. Some of you just need someone to hear you. Yes, some of you need someone to hear you or to hear your side of the story. So it's never too late. I want to remind you that your mental health is very important, and mental health is wealth. It is the kind of wealth that nobody can take away from you. So kindly be encouraged. You matter, you count, and everything that you have ever gone through in life, even if your past experiences can actually be re-evaluated, you can be helped to see things better in the therapy rooms and curtains. And ensure that you also be kind to another person. Help other person who are there. Help any other person who's outside there. If you know they might be suffering, if you have excess, help another person. Because when it comes to mental health, all of us are responsible. Thank you so much for watching this episode.